Look at the markets, about 30 points in terms of decline as far as Sensex is concerned. A good recovery from the day's low. 8,150 or slightly below that is what we had slipped, and now we are comfortably above the 8,200 level. Just if we could pull up the rupee, that has seen a good amount of appreciation coming in the last 10, 20 or maybe even half an hour or so. 63.84. When we opened in the morning, it was 63.98. So a good 12 paisa recovery is what essentially we are seeing in on rupee, and now again it's looking as if it's stable, above the 64, below the 64 level mark as far as rupee is concerned. The strength over there is looking in quite strong. Maybe the FII number, the bond number today, debt FII, I mean, should be quite interesting, should be quite positive, and that's why such amount of appreciation is what we are seeing in. SHEKHAR Bajaj, CMD at Bajaj Electrical, now joins us. Good morning, sir. Can you just first tell us about the consumer trend, the consumer pattern that you're seeing in? We had numbers of Havells coming out, we had numbers of HUL coming out, some of the other FMCG companies coming out with their numbers. Is the trend really declining because the numbers were not that great?
Our results are going to be announced on the 28th of May. So the details I cannot share too much, except that our whole emphasis is on secondary sale rather than primary sale, and therefore because of which certain inventory correction is being done at the dealers level as well as our own level. So the result of that will be primary sale may get slightly impacted. So the numbers which will be seen as far as the fourth quarter is concerned may not be the real numbers, because the secondary sale is definitely better than what is being shown as primary sales. This is one. Second, what is happening is that the impact of this unseasonal rain which is taking place even in the month of May, and now yesterday in Pune it was raining cats and dogs. It really is something which is disturbing and is going to obviously impact the market because of the crops being impacted. People are saying that anything 10-20% crop may be destroyed in this whole unseasonal rain, and therefore the rural demand is definitely going to get impacted on that. We still are looking at positive growth definitely as a company. Maybe by end of the first quarter we still are looking at a low double-digit growth as far as the consumer products are concerned. The project business of course is going to do much better, so we may end up at anything from 10 to 12% growth as a company for the first quarter.
I'm not particularly talking about Bajaj Electrical, I'm just talking about a trend in the consumer. Have you seen a slowdown in terms of consumer spend? Are consumers not willing to spend as much as they were doing earlier, or the growth over there? Is that something where you're seeing a setback coming in for the sector?
Yes, that's what I was mentioning when I talked about us. I was talking about the sector, that basically when the crops get spoiled and the disposable income goes down, then people are conservative. They have to take care of their roti kapda makan, as one says, that is necessary. After that they try to spend on consumer goods which they postpone, and therefore to that extent I'm expecting that the money from the crops and all will start coming. So from June onward we expect that if the reasonable monsoon, they are expecting about 90% level of the compared to a normal monsoon, about 90% of that. So the demand should pick up in the month of June. That's why I was saying the first quarter. What I'm talking about ourselves is really what the industry trend would be the same.
Right. You mentioned about unseasonal rains and how it is impacting the demand over there. But in the urban markets, is the demand better? Or there also you're seeing a slowdown, or the slowdown in the rural is much more than urban?
That is true. The urban demand is also slowing down, possibly because I think the profitability of the companies and the additional amount of dividend which is coming, or the amount which is being given as increments and all, and the inflation though is coming under control, but for earlier period there was a certain amount of inflation which was impacting the take home salaries, and therefore to that extent for some reason people are postponing, and especially new housing starts are much slower, and therefore consumer products, when you things like fans and appliances and all also get impacted if the new housing starts slowing down. So it's only on the replenishment or a replacement basis that one can expect demand, and the person says I can always postpone a replacement for some time.
Right. So the thing that you mentioned was that monsoon would be the next big trigger to watch out for in terms of revival of a consumption, say 2 months down the line once monsoon comes in. But apart from that, anything else you're looking at, MSP hikes or probably a rate cut coming in, would that help the demand, or you think that monsoon will be the key important trigger?
Yeah, I think the 0.25% to 0.5% expectation is there. That obviously will reduce the interest cost and the purchasing power of EMI, and also consumer product will definitely get benefit out of it. But total, basically what I'm seeing is that people are now becoming a little worried, little wary, little conservative in terms of spending, and therefore to that extent one can expect that the demand will be a little slow.
Right. So if we talk about Bajaj Electricals, you started by saying that you're majorly concentrating on secondary sales now. Earlier you used to concentrate on primary sales. What is exactly that shift, and how will it help into inventory levels being lower?
See, what happens is that I need to achieve my targets, top line target. So if at the end of the month, even if the dealer has got a 1 month inventory, I still want to achieve my target, so I'll push a little extra quantity on him. So I'm converting my inventory into his inventory, but my primary sales shows a higher number, and therefore we realize that his money is blocked up in unrequired inventory, and therefore his return on capital employed gets impacted. And therefore we said, instead of that, we consider secondary sale, and we are having a what we call a replenishment model, that whatever he sells is what he's going to be replenished by. So the result of that is that unnecessary, if he does not sell a particular product, he will not get further dumped with that particular material. So his investment on our business comes down, and to that extent he is happier to work with us because he gets a better return on investment. And we in turn also don't keep that inventory, we don't purchase that much of inventory. So to that extent the supply chain, the whole cycle will have lesser inventory, and therefore to that extent the cost of working capital and the whole cycle comes down.
Right. So basically it changes the entire investment into working capital that you make, and then in turn enhance the margins, right?
You can take it on an average, you can take it, yeah, absolutely. On an average you can take it that in the last 3 months our average inventory of our dealers must have come down by about 15 days, I would say, about approximately 15 days. That means about 4%. So with the result that in case I have shown a primary growth of 5%, it's actually 5 plus 4. So it's actually my secondary sale is what really matters, which goes to the dealers or the consumer, which has gone up by 9%. It will show only 5% in my. So this is a 3 months to 6 months of hit, which I would say, of correction. After that our normal sales cycle will pick up, and therefore we expect that for the year we are clearly looking at a double-digit growth in our consumer products, and our project business of course will go up by 20-25%. So as a company we are looking at a 5,000 crore turnover against 4,300 crores turnover we have done in the current year.
Right. So, can you just talk to us about the LED business? I think you did a soft launch in Jan. What was the response over there? Are you very bullish on the LED business going into FY16 and 17?
Absolutely. 15-16 you mean. So for 15-16 as it is, we've got a good order of 40 lakh LED lamps in the ESL order, which is about 41-42 crores. So that we will be supplying in the next 3 to 4 months. Then we've got an order for LED luminaires, which is about 80 crores, which we have to do in the next 6 months. So there is enough of orders, but the market is getting very competitive. So one has to be careful that one doesn't get into the price game which one has to if you want to get into the big league. So we luckily got it at the price where it was reasonable margins. Now the new tenders which are coming, everybody is having cutthroat competition, good for the consumer, but most of the companies will not be making much of margin, and therefore it will be a more of a top line growth but not much of margin. But LED is going to really hit all other light sources, and therefore to that extent LED you have to be there and you have to push it well.
Right. Just a word on the E&P business. Have you seen an uptick over there?
Yeah, as far as E&P business is concerned, as I had mentioned earlier also, that our old legacy projects have closed down. We finished everything by 31st March of last year, and all the payments and all which were there of the old projects either have been provided for, or we have collected the monies, and some are still being collected, and therefore starting with the fourth quarter this year, last year, and from this quarter onward there should be positive EBITDA continuously quarter to quarter. We will see positive EBITDAs coming in. All the businesses will be positive EBITDA every quarter, and we've got an order book of over 3,000 crore which is on hand as on 1st of May.
Right, so thank you so much for joining us and explaining what have been the consumer trend as well as the different lighting business as well as the E&P business at Bajaj Electrical. How are the trends going in over there? That was a view coming in from Bajaj Electricals on the consumer space, and they say that rural slowdown is there, but monsoon will be the key next trigger to watch out for. Let's take a break.